In this video, I wanted to show you a quick introduction to a very cool thing that Google has available to us that is public data. As a math teacher, I'm always on the lookout for real data that we can use to model different types of functions, and this is something that would be great in a history classroom as well. So to go to Google Public Data, you can go to www.google.com/public data. You have to spell it correctly. Or you can search for public data and it will come up as one of the first search hits. So what it's going to do is it will open up the initial screen, the directory, where usually it gives you a sample. So here we have living longer with fewer children. Interesting. And as you scroll down on the beginning page, the home page, it gives you a few different data sets to choose from to get started with. So it gives you world trade, international things. A lot of this is going to be based on countries and other types of census data. You can go through those particular things, or I'm going to go up to the top again. You can look on the left-hand side and you can click through some options there. Right now it's showing you large data sets. You can also look for particular metrics that you are interested in studying. So for right now, I'm going to select one of these. I'm going to select World Development Indicators, top one, and that's going to open it up. I want to explore some of this data, and you'll notice that on the left-hand side you have a lot of different options. So for exploring this data, you might have a particular thing that you want to look at. So I want to look at education, and it will give you some options for the data it has on education. So public speaking, let's click on that one. So I'm clicking on that and public spending, and it will show me some public spending for a wide range of dates. It will show me here it's showing from 1999 to 2012. It will only show you what it has data for. It starts with a line graph here, and as you go along the line graph you can see the different data points. It's in percentages on the y-axis, you'll note. And this is for the world. It usually starts on world, but you can get more specific, and I'll show you that in just a second. You can also change your view of the information in a couple of different ways. Up at the top above the graph, you'll see that you can change the type that you have. So I can look at a bar graph here. Again, you can look at a type of motion map, and it will show you the different spending. Again, hovering over data points on any particular chart type is going to give you some more information. You can also change it over to a scatter plot view or a motion chart, depending on what it has. Motion charts are very cool, and I'll show you one once I select some further criteria. Another thing you can do with all the different chart types is you can customize your view. Say I only care about what happens between 2005. I can scroll over to 2005, and then that will show my graph zoomed in to only 2005 to 2012. Now I can change some of these options. Now let's say I want to look at public spending on education, and I also want to look at infrastructure. So I'm going to click on some infrastructure things. Let's look at freight transport. So that will change my chart type, and in this case I need to give it some more information. So right now I have no particular areas selected. So here I can choose how I want to compare things. So I can compare them by region if I want. I can compare them by country. You click on any of the arrows, it will open up some drop downs. I want to look at Hong Kong, and I want to look at Vietnam. And those are the selections I want to compare. I also I can open up other things, Europe and Central Asia if I want, and select some more information. You'll notice that it keeps prompting me. It's saying, okay, you have all these great regions, right? But what exactly do you want to look at? So depending on the data set you're looking at, there might be only one place where you can narrow things down, or there might be 2, 3, depending on what it is that you're looking at. Here I want to look at the mode of transportation, so I'm going to select air, and it is going to show me freight transport for the things I have selected by air. And it first starts out with that line chart so I can compare. Here's that Europe one that I selected, here's Hong Kong that I selected, and here's Vietnam. Say I don't need to see Vietnam anymore, it will show me that data for only those selected things. You can add things, so I'm going to add New Zealand in there, and that will show me the air freight traffic for New Zealand. Just like before, hovering over these are going to show you some more specific data about it. Now, one thing that you might want to think about is if you look at different chart types, it's going to show you a little bit different information. So the bar chart is going to show me a little bit different information than what I have selected based on what the criteria I have to compare it on. Going to go over to my map. It's saying, oh, we don't have information for some people, but I can see the different sizes for freight transport. You'll notice that here the United States has a lot, and these smaller circles don't have as much. And that's where the map is kind of cool, especially for social studies. I'm also going to click over on the scatter plot, or the motion chart in this case, and I can see those different countries. Now, this motion chart isn't showing me the quite the same thing as I have selected, and that's just because of the type of chart that it is. A cool thing about motion charts is that you can click play, and it will show you how it has changed over the years. I have a really short range of years, so the play isn't all that great. Here we go, it begins at the, looks like it started in the 70s, and you can see how that freight transport by air changed. Which makes sense that we do a lot more by air now than we did back then in the 70s when things were changing. It's very cool to see those motion charts. Again, very powerful for students to look at, and even for businesses if they are looking at particular trends with how they are doing business. Now, once you're done looking at your data set, you can link to it if you want. What's cool about this link is that it will give you just a straight up link to go to this particular graph or chart, or you can embed it in a website, which is very nice for anybody who's using a website and wants to share this information with people who visit the site as opposed to having to send them the link. If you go back to public data, I'm going to go back to the beginning. I can choose to look at a different data set. I can also choose metrics. I like metrics a lot because that gives you a little bit more specific information to look at. Here we have the effectiveness of anti-monopoly policy. Again, you can look on the left-hand side to see how you want to narrow this down. I can compare by location, I can compare by country or country group, change that. Here it's saying, oh, you got to select some more information. I have to select some country groups. I'm going to do Latin America, and I'm going to do Asian tigers. The graph changes based on the information that it's going to see, so it's always going to show you the best view of that data, which is very, very cool. I'm going to go over to the motion chart here, and you can see the correlation. If you are looking at this for a statistical purpose, you can see how they line up there, and you can also look at the size of the circles to see how those associate with those particular country groups that you are comparing. Once you get more familiar with public data, you're going to find things that you can compare that aren't necessarily affected by year per se. When you look at it with the motion chart, you can see that your X and Y axis change. Google will do a lot of this for you, and you don't have to put in as much criteria as you would if you were just starting from scratch by just searching for a big data set. You can do a few things with settings. You can change your y-axis if you want to have it linear or a log curve. Again, that's good for statistics. And you can also show different sizes depending on the chart that you have selected. So I'm going to go back to my line chart, and you'll see that I don't have as many options just because this doesn't show me as much information. Again, you're really going to have to be playing around and seeing what is the data that you want to look for. I'm going to go back home for a minute, and I'm going to show you how you can search public data. I'm going to search for literacy. So what that does is it gives me what are the big data sets that I can look at, and then I can start narrowing down how I want to look at literacy rates. So selecting those will give you the large data sets, and then you can customize what it is that you want to see related to literacy and those things. Here I only need to select a country, so it shows me the consumer price index, and that's all related to what I had searched for before I had literacy, and that would be found in one of these other drop-down menus. Now, one last cool thing about public data is that you can add in your own data set. So if you have some information that you want to create a graph for or a chart for and embed, you can use public data to explore your own data set. Now, you'll notice there are a few things that it tells you that you want to pay attention to as you are adding your data set. It's really pretty simple to add it up in a pretty standard format. All you have to do is click upload, and that will allow you to select your data set and then start exploring. Once you have your data sets in there, it's going to save it for you because all of this is connected to your Google account. So that's Google Public Data. Looking around and seeing the things that are available to you is the biggest way to get familiar with it. Playing around with maybe the example chart to see how those things compare will give you a very good start, and looking at their suggested data banks is a good place to go as well. Don't forget to search. Obviously, you're not going to be able to find everything in search, but you'll be surprised by the information that they have gathered data on. Again, this isn't necessarily Google getting data from you, but it's giving you access to public data sets, which is great for a lot of different uses, both at the education and business level. So this was your introduction to Google Public Data.